Buckle up, grab the fuel nozzle, and get ready to fuel up on trends and strategies to grow your travel center business in this episode of The Truck Stops Here, brought to you by Natso. Now, here are your hosts, Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of The Truck Stops Here. I'm your host, Amy Toner, and I'm here with my co-host, Darren Schulte. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Good. You are listening to The Truck Stops Here, Natso's podcast. Natso is the National Trade Association for Truck Stops, and our mission is to advance the success of truck stops and travel centers, and this is just one of the many ways that we do that. It is our pleasure to welcome Sean Momin, Vice President of Operations at Pat's Travel Center. Hi, Sean.
Hey, how's it going, Amy? How's it going, Darren? Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
Okay, so Pat's Travel Center, you're in Porte, Texas, right?
That is correct.
Okay, how did it come about?
So we've been in the travel center industry since 1980. Mm-hmm. My parents and my uncle were already in the C-store industry before, and they were looking to expand their sites. And they happened to come across this business that was for sale, and it was different than the C-store industry because it was catering mainly to the trucks, and it was an older facility, and it had just been built, but the individuals that built it, they weren't in the travel center industry either. They just wanted to build a site and wanted to be kind of entrepreneurial. And so they, built the site, but then they found out it's a different beast. So they put it up for sale. And so my dad and my uncle ended up purchasing it in 1980. And so we've been operating it since then. And the location's name was Porte Auto Truck Stop. And that name was actually, whoever developed the site came up with that name. And so we just continued using that name. And then in '96, the business was doing well. It was expanding due to the ports in Houston, and they started realizing that we were missing a lot of the amenities that the professional drivers were looking for, and they were for restaurants. They were looking for a place to sleep, like the hotels, and they wanted a place to kind of hang out lounge wise, and so. When in '96, the road in front of us, the highway was expanding, and they were going to go ahead and shut that section out due to construction. And at that time, my dad and my uncle thought it was a great opportunity to go ahead and remodel our location so we could start including these amenities that the professional drivers were looking for. And before then, this funny story is they would actually let the drivers borrow their car to go into town to pick up food, and the other employees would go and drop off the professional drivers to the hotels, and then pick them up the next morning to bring them back to their trucks. And so they're like, well, why can't we just do it at our site? Because we had enough space to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And crazy to think about nowadays, right? To take a random person and do it, but. And while I say that, I'm thinking about Uber as well, too, right? So I guess we live in a strange world. But so they thought, why not just add these amenities to our site? And so they bulldozed a place, I believe in 96 or 97. Uh-huh. And, they grazed the whole site and they redid it, where they added a restaurant, hotel, as well as a mechanic shop on site. And, they continued using the name Porte Auto Truck Stop, and in about 2015 or so, we're looking to start expanding our footprint. Where we're looking at getting additional sites, and I've been with the organization since 2009. And one thing I remember is a lot of the vendors would not pronounce our name correctly. They would. Because it's such a long name, there's 4 words, in our name. So when we started thinking about rebranding and coming up with kind of a logo, the names that were given to us, they weren't a reflection of who we are. It didn't stick. It didn't, basically it didn't get us excited. And it just happened that someone mentioned that, the acronym for Porte Auto Truck Stop is PATS. And it just seemed right away like, okay, that's it. Like we are still, because we've been in the industry for so long in that particular area that everyone knew us as, Porte Auto Truck Stop. And that's, a mouthful. So we wanted to go ahead and just kind of condense that. And Pat's is a way for us to, remember the past and kind of move on towards the future. So that's the way Pat's Travel Center came about, and that's why we're moving forward with the new logo and the new look.
So that was in the 90s, and then last year you remodeled again, right?
So we've actually been, remodeling for the last, I want to say 3 years.
Uh-huh.
We didn't want to shut down our business because, we understand that if we shut down the business and trying to regain that business is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing the renovations over a 3-year period. And then we, compartmentalized it where we started with the restrooms and the restaurant first. So, I wasn't, while working there, it was almost it wasn't something we were excited about our look because it had been dated. We had built it in 98. And so we're talking about almost 20 years and, minimal renovations. So, our location is a reflection of who we are. And so for that reason, we had to look at it, take a step back and say, okay, well, who are we? What would we want in our location? And, we understood our restrooms were too small. We only had, I believe, 2 urinals and 1 commode for the men's and 3 or two, I think, toilets for the women's. We only had 2 showers, and it just wasn't meeting our needs. So for the remodel aspect of it, we said, okay, let's do the restaurant and the restrooms at the same time. And then once that is complete, we'll move over to the C-store side. So yes, we did finish the C-store remodel actually this year in August. So, we're about 7 months in the remodel. And, I don't think we're going to ever stop remodeling. I guess that's just who I am. I'm a person that likes to kind of tinker around and keep trying to, be a perfectionist. But, as I stated, it's a reflection of who we are. And when the guests come to, Pat's Travel Center, we want to make sure that they see that. We want to make sure that they get that wow factor that we are different from not only like the way we look, but also the amenities and the food offerings and just the overall customer experience that they get at our site. And that, to me, that, starts from the way that your facility looks from the outside in. And it gives our guests that we've had for, since 1980, we still have a lot of the repeat customers that come in daily, 1980. And, it gives them a sense of ownership, which is exciting for us.
The pictures online look gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had some help, but it's been working with individuals within the NATSO organization in the standpoint of just talking to individuals and saying, getting their ideas of what will work, what and what won't, and I travel quite a bit for work, and I'm probably one of those weirdos that is walking around everyone's C-store taking pictures, and I'll go to Pinterest. I'll get ideas from there and see how we can implement it. But overall, it's been the members, the NATSO members, that have been extremely helpful throughout the process, and that have given their feedback that may have tried something and said this will work or this won't work. It looks good, but it's not functional. And at the end of the day, it's also about cost. We have to make sure that we don't go over budget. And so all of these moving pieces had to come into play. And at the end of the day, it came out looking really nice.
What would you say you're most proud of?
How much time do we have for this? It's that's okay. I would have to probably say like a food offering. Before our food offering was quite generic, to put it, put it pretty blunt. Wasn't anything to be excited about. For us, we look at it as we're consumers as well, so we want to make sure that if we were to come and visit our site, what would we want? How quickly could we get it, and how was that experience? So our food service offering, a lot of people are doing grab and go, and they're doing other food offerings, but we kind of focused on the hot plate option, which is you get a nice warm meal, not pre-wrapped. You can see it right in front of you, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want, and we can make the meal for you. We'll box it up and hand it to you. So, you're kind of getting a restaurant experience, but with the speed. And we're actually quite proud of that. And, we've only, as I said, only been operational on that standpoint for about 6 months. And we've already seen our foot traffic during the lunch and dinner time pick up. And we're still working on breakfast because the options for breakfast are quite limited. We don't want to just put things out there. We want to put food offerings that are going to be have really good quality, but also at a reasonable price point. And we don't want to be charging people double digits when they have a set budget. So we have a lot of factors we take into consideration, and we're working with our vendors right now throughout the process, and they've been extremely helpful to do this. But so far so good on the food offering, and we're really proud of that because it's a sense of who we are, and it kind of gives an identity to our location of not just us, but also the city, like where we are and who our customers are. So if you're from Maine or Washington, and you come to this area, it's going to be something different, right? But it's also, if you're not, I guess, to a point where you're experimental with food, you're not a foodie, then we have, almost the home cooked options where there's some comfort food there for you as well. And it'll still meet the same requirements from quality and price point.
What do you think, Darren? Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, from an outsider, Sean's greatest accomplishment as a leader is his people. The reason I say this is when I first met Sean years and years ago in an attempt to ask him to join NATSO for a membership, his people had never met me. They've seen me frequently over the years now, but they hadn't prior to that. And the one thing that stuck out at Sean's locations is they were always really friendly. And you know how companies often say that it's our people, but the reality, you go into their businesses and it's really not their people, right? It's really the item they're selling or the store, or they have some sort of unique niche. That's the reason they're successful, product or whatever it may be. But one of the successes of Sean's is his people are generally wonderful. His people are generally kind. I brought consultants over from Germany. We've brought members over from Canada. And that's the one thing they always say. And that's kudos to Sean, specifically to his manager, to his dad, to his uncle. His people are fantastic. So Sean, if you've ever read the reviews around Sean's stores, often they talk about his people. And I think that is something in our business that maybe we kind of lost sight of that prior to COVID-19. And now companies are realizing the importance of their frontline employees. But that's something Sean never forgot. He's always had exceptional people, and they really go out of their way. So kudos to you, Sean.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I do got to count my blessings because I work with a phenomenal team. And I just had a conversation with one of our team members yesterday, and it's exciting for me to go to work, and I can see that they're excited to go to work as well. But we always want to, in this industry, we always want to find that silver bullet, right? And we want to find someone that meets this particular kind of personality or meets this check we check the box on this individual person. But I think what it comes down to is honestly training, and it starts with the interview process. We let them know through the interview process and the hiring process what's expected of them. And we're all adults in this industry, so we treat everyone as an adult, and we can't really force someone to change their personality. But what we've kind of learned, over the years, is if you properly train your team and you give them and you communicate what you want to do and what's expected of them, they're more receptive to that. And we don't leave anyone out of the dark. At the end of the day, my mentality at work is that I work for them, right? I work for my team. I do whatever I can to make sure that when they come to work, the new items that we implement didn't make their lives more difficult. It made it easier or kept it the same. And the way we're able to do that is we communicate any changes that we're thinking about doing on site. We get their feedback, and we ask, well, look, we're thinking about doing this. You guys are the front line. Tell us how that's going to impact you and in your work. Is it going to make it more difficult? And do we always go with what's the feedback that we were given? No, but we actually take it into consideration, so they know that we're being mindful of their needs as well. And we it starts with management, and we have a phenomenal management team on our site, and we're grateful for that with Simon and Nikki and Sonia and the rest of the team there. They do a great job, and they have that team in almost a family environment, which is what we strive for. And it's not something that we just say; it's something that we live. And we celebrate everyone's birthday. We celebrate big accomplishments. We recently had one of our staff members, graduate or get her GED. Well, that's a big accomplishment. It's been 10 years since she left high school and went back to go get it. So that for us, that was a big deal. And so we gave her kind of a just kind of a celebration with cake and something small, but let her know that she's appreciated, and just like we would in our own families, right? So that's what we kind of focus on, and then we let our team members be themselves, and with the proper training, they have that confidence, and they know what's expected of them. They know that they're accountable for their actions. And I think once you allow your team to kind of be themselves, it just, I think it naturally happens. So at the end of the day, I think that's what is working for us. And that's what's allowed us to have a great team at our location. And our guests love it, and they come in, they joke with our team, and we joke with them. But we also have strict kind of almost a line in the sand where they know not to cross, and we don't cross any jokes or comments and whatnot. And it just, as I said, it gives our team a sense of ownership and a sense of like bond amongst like family members. So and I, as I said, I enjoy going to work because they're there and they're laughing and joking and having good time, and they're relaxed. So that's what we've been focused on at our site.
Awesome. All right. Before we let you go, can we ask you some fast-filled, wacky questions?
Sure.
Okay. What is your go-to on the road snack?
Wings. Okay. That's my kryptonite.
Okay. Do you prefer to ride or drive?
Oh, drive. Okay.
Now, this might not happen where you are, but if you're stuck at a truck stop in a snowstorm, how do you pass the time?
That's a great, if it snows, I'm not getting to a truck stop in Texas. I've never experienced that. What would I do to pass time? I'm pretty outgoing. I'd probably just start having conversations whoever's there to their liking or not.
Okay, how do you take your truck stop coffee?
Oh, that's a great question. So we just got bean to cup at our site, and before I was never a fan of drip coffee, and so now I go with the Colombian, get a large Colombian, but then I'm an oddball as well. I get mine on ice, so I get the iced Colombian coffee with a little shot of caramel macchiato.
Nice. Okay, and we're ending with a controversial question. Is it truck stop, travel center, or travel plaza?
We go with travel center.
Travel center. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No worries. Thank you, Amy and Darren, for having me, and thank you for this opportunity. It's been quite exciting, and as always, I enjoy speaking with you all.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Sean. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of The Truck Stops Here. You can find us online at the Truck Stops Here.show. You can listen to the podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher. If you have any questions for the podcast or for us, reach out to editor@natso.com. Goodbye.
The Truck Stops Here was brought to you by Natso, the association representing truck stops and travel centers. Visit natso.com for more information. The Truck Stops Here is produced by Natso in collaboration with Human Factor. Producers are Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.